In the intricate dance of relationships between men and women lie secrets that everyone seeks to unravel. It often seems that men are simple and straightforward creatures, yet their inner world is a tempest of passions and instincts driven by an ancient force. The desire to protect, conquer, and build is what motivates a man, but only a certain woman can awaken this energy, touching the deepest corners of his subconscious. As Louise Hay, a prominent researcher of the power of the mind, stated, "Our projections shape relationships." This is especially true for the union of a man and a woman. A man's reaction is determined not only by the actions of his chosen one, but also by how he feels about himself when he is with her. Deep down, he begins to see himself in a new light, stronger, more useful, more real. Why are some men willing to do anything for their beloved, while others do not consider it necessary to reply to a simple message? It's not about luck, physical attractiveness, social status, or fleeting chemistry. The key lies in a little-studied psychological principle: emotional projection. A man falls in love not with the woman herself, but with the feelings and experiences she evokes in him. When a woman touches the hidden corners of a man's subconscious, she becomes for him not just a person, but a symbol, an emotional reflection connecting him with his deepest purpose. She turns into the very connection that he seeks to protect, defend, and support, not out of a sense of duty, but at the call of his heart. This is not manipulation, not a power play, and not a superficial strategy, but a deep understanding of the nature of genuine emotional connections. Louise Hay emphasized that to build healthy relationships, it is necessary to develop healthy self-esteem. A woman who knows how to awaken male energy will not humiliate herself by begging for attention, stalking someone, or proving her worth. She simply projects it, and then something magical happens. Surely many are familiar with the situation. You give yourself completely, surrounding your partner with love, understanding, and loyalty, and in return, you only receive his departure. It seems that you did everything possible, but it was not enough. At the same time, you observe other women, without making much effort, basking in male devotion and adoration. There is no coincidence in this. It's not about the amount of energy given, but about the emotional place you occupy in his life. It's not about striving for the ideal or being willing to concede in everything, but about becoming that emotional anchor that awakens in him the instinct of a protector, the need to care, and a sincere desire to take responsibility. Men do not consciously decide who to prioritize. This choice is made at the subconscious level, where archetypes, emotional memories, and deep impulses rule. When a woman occupies such an emotional position that awakens his true essence, he doesn't even question whether to stay. He simply stays because the union with her allows him to become better, feel stronger, and more confident. The great Louise Hay said that relationships are a mirror, reflecting not our desires, but our self-esteem. In other words, when you begin to realize your worth and dignity, it inevitably reflects in the attitude of those around you, including your partner. Respect is the invisible foundation on which strong and lasting relationships are built. When a man feels that he is valued, that his opinion is important, and that his presence matters, something special awakens in him. He becomes more open, generous, and devoted. But if respect disappears, even if he remains physically present, his heart begins to drift away. Sometimes this happens gradually, manifesting in small things: evasiveness, silence, the absence of past enthusiasm, until one day the spark goes out completely. True respect is rarely manifested in loud statements. It lies in the nuances, in gestures, fleeting glances, in the intonations of the voice. Small, seemingly insignificant actions, such as rudely interrupting, belittling the partner's merits, or ironically rolling your eyes while he speaks, can create a feeling of alienation in a man. Sometimes he doesn't even realize the reason, but intuitively feels a reluctance to invest energy in the union. Because for a man, respect is a kind of barometer measuring his importance in the relationship. However, there is also a positive aspect. A woman can create an atmosphere that inspires a man to stay, open up, and take responsibility. The ability to listen without judgment, trust in his decisions, sincere gratitude. These are the building blocks of a space where a man feels comfortable, where he can be himself without fear of criticism or ridicule. It is important to understand that respect is not blind submission. Louise Hay, known for her self-development works, called not for blind obedience, but for emotional awareness. A strong woman can express her disagreement, set personal boundaries, and defend her beliefs without losing mutual respect. The key is in the form of communication. If a man doesn't feel that his personality is being attacked, he won't become defensive, but rather open up. But the most important thing is to start with yourself. Respect cannot be demanded or bargained for. It is conveyed through every action, every decision, every thought about oneself. As Louise Hay said, "When you really love yourself, everything in your life falls into place." And this fully applies to relationships. A woman who respects herself doesn't need to raise her voice or demonstrate power. Her self-confidence, the value of her time, and her care for her own energy speak for themselves. Her presence sets clear boundaries without unnecessary words. She won't tolerate empty promises or behavior that drains her, not out of pride, but because she has realized that her well-being is an axiom that is not up for discussion. Self-love, according to Louise Hay, is not a manifestation of selfishness, but rather a recognition of one's own worth, which determines what we allow into our lives. If a woman tolerates inconsistent treatment, neglect, or indifference, she inadvertently demonstrates a willingness to settle for less. However, when she gracefully leaves situations that bring her neither peace nor growth, she sends a clear signal. I know my worth, and I'm not going to demean myself for recognition. Such confidence doesn't scare away real men, but rather inspires them. An emotionally mature and genuinely interested man isn't afraid of a woman who has her own principles. He sees in this a noble task, to become someone worthy of being with her. In his mind, there arises a desire for growth and overcoming his own limitations, not because of external pressure, but out of a sincere desire to match her. This is where the real magic lies. When a man sees that a woman is steadfast in her beliefs and doesn't excuse unworthy behavior, his devotion not only increases, but also strengthens. In her presence, he doesn't feel that he is losing freedom, but rather feels a sense of purpose. Louise Hay asserted that changing one's attitude towards oneself leads to changes in the entire surrounding world, including how others perceive us. Men don't give in to coercion and don't respond to demands or ultimatums. They take on obligations not under pressure or because of a list of conditions that must be met, but under the influence of something much deeper and more subtle, the feelings they experience around this woman. In her company, he feels respected, valued, and recognized as an individual. If a man sees himself as a leader, a strong, capable, and worthy person, he will do everything possible to maintain this connection. It is important to note that this happens not because of praise or idealization, but because of the woman's sincere belief in his potential, even when he himself doubts himself. This quiet faith, a gaze that sees his essence beyond mistakes and wounds, awakens in him a deep desire to protect, care for, and prioritize her, not out of a sense of duty, but out of a sincere aspiration, not by demand, but because her energy transforms him. When a man meets such a woman, he feels that he has found something rare and almost sacred. In a world that constantly demands toughness, success, and strength from him, she represents an oasis of calm, authenticity, and emotional refuge, a place where he can be himself without masks. From childhood, many men are taught to hide their emotions, instilled with the idea that crying is a weakness, doubting is unacceptable, and that they must move forward even when they are broken inside. As a result, they erect emotional walls, hide their wounds, and show only what society expects of them. But behind this armor lies a universe of insecurity, unexpressed pain, and unanswered questions. Few understand that even the strongest, most successful, or reserved man needs a place where he cannot pretend, where he can rest emotionally, without fear of judgment or ridicule. Louise Hay spoke of the power of acceptance as a healing balm for the soul. In the depths of his soul, a man strives for a relationship where he can open up without fear of appearing weak or inadequate. He seeks not a fix or a solution to problems, but reassurance that his sincerity will not be used against him. Many men remain silent about this, perhaps not even fully realizing it, but the fear that their feelings will be ridiculed or used makes them close off. Alienation begins subtly and imperceptibly. First, a man stops sharing his experiences, then emotionally distances himself, even while remaining physically present. He seeks refuge in work, hobbies, or simply silence, gradually withdrawing from the relationship, even though he is still formally present. True emotional intimacy lies not in solving a partner's problems, but in creating a space where they can be themselves, without fear or judgment. When a man emotionally shuts down, it is often not due to a loss of interest, but rather a search for relief elsewhere. Unable to express his feelings, he retreats into himself, hoping to find understanding where he will not be pressured or judged. However, if a woman responds with empathy, patience, and a calm presence instead of reproaches, the situation can change. He begins to associate her with peace, not tension, with a space where he can be authentic and unafraid to show his emotions. Men deeply value women who give them the freedom to be themselves. A woman who supports his dreams and reminds him of his strengths becomes not just a partner, but a source of support and inspiration. It's not about solving his problems, but about providing a steady presence, a quiet strength that supports without imposing. As Louise Hay said, love is the greatest healer, and this is especially true in this context. True love heals through acceptance, not sacrifice. When a man finds such support, a natural devotion arises within him. He no longer thinks about effort or sacrifice, but simply strives to preserve this connection because it provides clarity and peace amidst the noise of life. Relationships that last are not solely based on physical attraction or convenience. A real connection occurs when a man feels that he can be himself around this woman, without pretense or fear. This level of intimacy is not achieved by trying to heal his wounds or resolve his crises. A woman's true strength lies in her ability to listen without trying to control, to reflect his value without diminishing his struggles. In healthy relationships, both partners grow, develop, and strengthen each other without suppressing or consuming one another. It is important to understand that emotional support should not turn into unlimited patience. It's not about becoming an emotional garbage can. where your partner dumps all their negativity without offering anything in return. Your role is not a psychotherapist or a punching bag. Sensitivity and empathy do not mean that you must tolerate disrespect or remain in a relationship where there is no mutual growth. True balance is achieved by creating a safe, emotional space where everyone can be sincere, where the truth does not provoke fear of judgment. Such a connection not only strengthens trust, but also deepens true intimacy. A man may experience fleeting attraction to many women, but he truly commits only to the one who makes him feel deeply understood, valued, and accepted, not just as a provider, but as an individual with his own experiences and needs. When a man finds such emotional refuge, a fire ignites in his soul. He is ready to do anything to preserve this connection because he recognizes its exceptional value. Louise Hay spoke of the ability to see in people something more than their external masks, and that is exactly what happens in this case. When a woman sees a man in his entirety, with all his strengths and weaknesses, and still offers him unconditional acceptance, she becomes his reliable anchor in the stormy ocean of life. Nature has endowed men with the desire to pursue and conquer, but emotionally they surrender only to what they consider truly rare, valuable, and authentic. If something comes too easily without any effort, depth, or real connection, their subconscious instinctively devalues it. This is not a manifestation of coldness, but a feature of human psychology. Of course, this does not mean that a woman should manipulate or play with her partner's feelings. It's not about cynical strategies and empty tricks, but about understanding the subtle art of maintaining a balance between intimacy and mystery. A woman who has mastered this dynamic, who radiates love and self-respect at the same time, possesses a quiet but enormous power over a man's heart. She knows how to maintain interest not with psychological games, but with her authenticity. She intrigues her partner not because she is hiding something, but because she is constantly evolving. She has a rich life, her own dreams and hobbies that she does not give up, and a strong personality that does not dissolve in the relationship. When a woman retains her uniqueness, she becomes a whole universe for a man to explore. This supports his emotional involvement, the desire to learn more and more about her, and to stay close. The strongest attraction is born from constant discovery. A fatal mistake occurs when a woman erases herself in the name of love, giving up everything that made her unique, her passions, goals, her very essence, to completely adapt to her partner's life. At that moment, the mystery disappears, and with it, the enchantment. The celebrated Louise Hay once remarked, "Years of self-flagellation bear no fruit. Why not try approval and see what comes of it?" In the context of love, this means, do not dissolve into another person, sacrificing your uniqueness, because strong unions grow not from merging, but from the harmonious alliance of two complete personalities who support each other, inspire new achievements, and develop together. It is in this that lies the hidden power that can maintain a man's interest, encourage him to act, and strengthen the bond he considers special and significant. Certainly, mystery can spark curiosity, but it alone cannot sustain long-term relationships. The fire of love is fueled not only by the unknown, but also by a delicate balance between intrigue and deep emotional intimacy. Louise Hay taught that every person, regardless of external strength, needs recognition, approval, and high appreciation. Even the most courageous and self-sufficient men, deep down, strive for approval, yearn to know that their actions matter and have a positive impact on the life of the woman they love. When a man feels that his efforts do not go unnoticed, that he is valued, something special awakens in him. He feels the need to give even more, to commit with greater dedication, and to become better, because that is how a man unlocks his potential, building something valuable together with the woman who sees, respects, and appreciates him. This is not about grandiose gestures. Sometimes a simple thank you, a look full of gratitude, or a sincere word is enough for a man to feel like a hero. Such restrained but powerful gratitude fuels his desire to protect, care for, and stay close. This is where many women make a mistake. Some become so cold and mysterious that the relationship turns into a soulless game. Perhaps at first this arouses interest, but without emotional connection, warmth, and reciprocity, attraction fades. Others, seeking to hold on to a man, give everything too quickly, dissolve into him, abandon their individuality, and obsessively seek attention, sacrificing themselves. Without realizing it, they become predictable and lose all appeal. The secret of attractiveness lies not in extremes, but in harmony, in maintaining the intrigue of unpredictability, continuous personal growth, and creating an atmosphere of recognition and emotional gratitude. A man has a deep interest in a woman who can challenge him emotionally and intellectually, one who does not stop developing, but at the same time he must feel his significance, realize that his presence matters. When these two elements, challenge and recognition, combine, an almost magical connection arises. He strives to be with her not out of need, but because he feels more whole, stronger, and alive by her side. Such attraction cannot be imitated. It is born when a woman respects herself so much that she does not need to chase, beg, or prove her worth. Louise Hay asserted that true love begins with self-love, and a woman who lives by this principle radiates something unique, inner strength. This strength is not manifested in the amount of love given, sacrifices made, or attempts to be chosen. It lies in the willingness to leave with dignity when she is not valued, because she realizes that her love is not a gift intended for those who do not know how to cherish it. It is a treasure that can only be shared with someone who is ready to appreciate it. When a man feels that a woman is ready to leave if she is not respected, something deep within him awakens. A primitive psychological mechanism is triggered. He realizes that she is not like everyone else. She does not tolerate neglect, does not settle for half measures, and does not adapt to circumstances where her light dims. At that moment, he is faced with an emotional choice: either rise to her level or lose her. If a woman has absorbed Louise Hay's message and learned to choose herself out of self-love, she realizes that by leaving, she loses nothing. Because she is not afraid of loneliness, her self-sufficiency does not depend on others. Deep in the male consciousness lives a desire to conquer, protect, and cherish what he considers valuable. When a man meets a woman who does not accept compromises, inconsistency, or disrespect, something activates in him. Without saying a word, she becomes a rare and desirable reward. A woman who is not afraid of loneliness sends a powerful signal without words. I don't need you to choose me to know who I am. Having intrinsic worth is a source of attractive emotional confidence, strikingly different from the behavior of those who seek love, willing to debase themselves before indifference in the hope of being noticed. Confidence does not need to shout. It is felt on a subconscious level. When a man encounters this powerful energy, he realizes that he is facing an extraordinary person. Louise Hay wisely noted that self-love is not a manifestation of pride, but a recognition of one's right to the best, simply by virtue of existence. When a woman lives in harmony with this principle, emanating from the very depths of her being, she does not need to waste energy proving her worth. Her inner energy speaks for itself. If a man, being near such a woman, does not value her properly, believing that she will always be there, regardless of his attitude, he is making a fatal mistake for which he will have to pay sooner or later. This woman will not wait forever. She will not endlessly play the role of all understanding and all forgiving. And it's not about a lack of love for him, but about her deep respect and love for herself. When a woman sets clear boundaries, based on calmness and confidence, and not on anger and resentment, it causes serious changes in a man's consciousness. He suddenly realizes that her presence in his life is not a given, but a privilege that must be earned. It is not enough to simply be physically present. It is necessary to be present with sincere intention and full dedication. This is the essence of the quietest, yet most convincing, feminine power. Not in trying to keep a man nearby, but in being fully prepared to leave if there is no reciprocity, if there is no real, devoted, and constant love. At this turning point, a transformation occurs in the male psyche. He can no longer be sure of her constant presence, regardless of his behavior. He is forced to face the harsh truth. She has a choice. She has value, and he can lose her. And losing such a woman would mean losing something unique and irreplaceable. Louise Hay wisely emphasized that the highest degree of freedom lies in self-expression, without regard for the opinions of others. A woman who lives in harmony with her true essence, not striving to please everyone, not dissolving her individuality to suit generally accepted norms, becomes a phenomenon that cannot be ignored. She does not resort to manipulation, does not threaten or make empty demands. Her actions speak for themselves. If a man truly strives to be with such a woman, he will grow and develop to match her level, becoming more conscious, attentive, and devoted. If he is not ready for this, it is not her job to educate, shape, or wait for him. This is not a manifestation of coldness or a cunning strategy, but an expression of self-love in action. Contrary to popular belief, such self-love does not repel men, but on the contrary, awakens in them a sincere desire to become better, to win not only the heart of a woman, but also to achieve their own greatness. And here arises an amazing paradox. It is precisely at the moment when a man realizes the possibility of losing a woman who deeply respects herself that he will make every effort to prevent this from happening. And he is driven not by fear, but by a deep understanding that he will not find such a connection anywhere else. In healthy, strong, and lasting relationships, there is no place for pursuit or power struggles. Partners value, inspire, and choose each other consciously, willingly. The connection between them is built not on the fear of loss, but on the confidence that together they become stronger, more sincere, and more humane. A woman who leaves an indelible mark on hearts and memories is not the one who sows discord, but the one who challenges established norms, encouraging development without resorting to manipulation. She supports the flame of attraction not with tricks, but with tireless self-improvement. She knows how to appreciate virtues without creating false ideals. Her love for herself is so great that it evokes involuntary respect, even without demanding it. The real secret is not to change one's essence, adapting to male expectations. True power lies in the ability to become the woman who, by her very existence, evokes admiration, devotion, and deep respect. A man may neglect the one who obsessively seeks his attention, may eventually get used to the one who gives herself without reservation and without any conditions. But he will never be able to forget the woman who became a stimulus for his personal growth, the one who, without dissolving in the relationship, managed to preserve her unique identity. He will not forget the one who was a faithful companion, not a spineless shadow, a bright presence, not an ethereal absence. He will be ready to risk everything for the woman who, even in love, remains an independent, unique, and irreplaceable force. He understands that if he cannot rise to her level, she will have the wisdom and resolve to continue on her path. It is this very realization that makes her invaluable. Therefore, if there is one truth worth internalizing, it is that one should not chase after love. One must become the woman whose mere existence commands respect. When you prioritize yourself, enveloping yourself in love, dignity, and confidence, a worthy man will not only take notice, he will choose you time and time again.